Hello history lovers and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into the life of one of Mexico's most remarkable heroines. A woman whose name you should absolutely know, Leona Vicario. While names like Hidalgo and Morelos often dominate the stories of Mexican independence, Leona was a powerhouse behind the scenes, a true architect of the rebellion. She wasn't just a supporter. She was a financier, a spy master, and a fearless journalist who risked everything for a free Mexico. So, forget what you think you know about the women of this era. Leona Vicario breaks every mold. Stick around as we uncover the story of this incredible woman who proves that the pen and the purse can be just as mighty as the sword. Leona Vicario was born in Mexico City in 1789 into a wealthy and influential family. Her father was a Spanish merchant, and her mother was from a distinguished Creole family. This privileged upbringing gave her access to an education that was rare for women at the time. She was well-read, intelligent, and possessed a keen interest in art, science, and politics. Orphaned at a young age, she was left with a considerable inheritance and placed under the guardianship of her uncle, Agustín Pomposo Fernández de San Salvador, a prominent lawyer with loyalist sympathies. Little did he know, his brilliant and independent niece would soon use her resources and intellect to defy the very system he supported. Living in the heart of the colonial capital, Leona had a front-row seat to the growing discontent and the burgeoning ideas of liberty that were sweeping across the Americas and Europe. As the whispers of revolution grew louder, Leona Vicario made a conscious and dangerous choice. She didn't just sympathize with the independence movement. She threw her entire being into it. In 1810, when Miguel Hidalgo issued the Grito de Dolores, Leona was already connecting with secret literary societies in Mexico City. These groups, under the guise of discussing poetry and philosophy, were actually hotbeds of insurgent activity. One of the most famous was the group known as Los Guadalupes. This clandestine network was Leona's entry point into the world of She became one of their most crucial members, acting as a vital link between the insurgents fighting in the countryside and their supporters within the capital. Her high social standing gave her access to information that was invaluable to the rebel cause. She was the perfect spy, hiding in plain sight. Leona's role quickly evolved beyond just gathering information. She became the rebellion spanker. Using her vast personal fortune, she financed the movement, purchasing weapons, ammunition, and supplies for the insurgent armies. She even funded a cannon-making operation. Think about the audacity of that. A young, high-society woman secretly funneling her inheritance into overthrowing the Spanish crown. She also used her home as a safe house and a communications hub. She wrote and received coded letters, passing on intelligence about royalist troop movements, political plans, and public sentiment. She was the nerve center of the insurgency in Mexico City. While men were fighting on the battlefields, Leona was waging a war of her own from the shadows of the capital. A war of intelligence and logistics that was just as critical to the fight for freedom. Beyond her work as a spy and financier, Leona Vicario was a powerful propagandist. She was a gifted writer and used her talent to fuel the fire of independence. She wrote articles for insurgent newspapers like El Ilustrador Americano and El Semanario Patriótico Americano. In her writings, she passionately argued for the cause of liberty, countering the royalist propaganda and inspiring others to join the fight. She understood the power of the press, the power of shaping public opinion. Her articles were bold, persuasive, and incredibly risky. If her identity as the author were discovered, it would mean certain death. But Leona was fearless. She believed that a free Mexico was a cause worth dying for, and she used every tool at her disposal, including her intellect and her pen, to make that dream a reality. She wasn't just reporting on the revolution. She was actively shaping its narrative. Of course, such dangerous work could not go unnoticed forever. In 1813, one of her coded letters was intercepted and the royalist authorities came for her. Leona Vicario was arrested and imprisoned in the College of Belan. She faced intense interrogation, with her captors trying to force her to reveal the names of her fellow conspirators. Her loyalty was unshakable. Knowing that she faced a grim fate, the insurgents mounted a daring rescue. Disguised as mule drivers, they managed to spring her from her prison. She escaped Mexico City, leaving behind her wealth, her home, and her former life to join the rebels directly. Now, a fugitive, Leona's journey took her to the rugged mountains of the south, where she joined the forces led by Jose Maria Morazan. Life on the run was a stark contrast to her privileged upbringing. She endured immense hardship, constantly moving to evade capture, sleeping in caves, and facing the daily dangers of war. It was during this time that she was reunited with a fellow insurgent, a lawyer and writer named Andres Quintana Roo, whom she had known from the secret societies in Mexico City. Their shared ideals and commitment to the cause blossomed into love. They were married in a makeshift ceremony, and Leona continued her work. Now, alongside her husband, she continued to write 2 strategies and to support the troops, even giving birth to her first child while living as a fugitive in a cave. Her resilience is truly astounding. When Morelos was captured and executed in 1815, the independence movement fractured and weakened. The next few years were incredibly difficult for Leona and Andres. They were constantly on the move, hunted by royalist forces. In 1817, Leona was captured for a second time. Pregnant with her second child, she was offered a pardon by the viceroy in exchange for renouncing the cause and accepting Spanish rule. For the sake of her children, she accepted. However, this was not the end of her story. While she was no longer an active combatant, she never abandoned her belief in a free Mexico. She and her husband were exiled to the town of Toluca, where they lived under surveillance, but their spirit of resistance remained unbroken. They had sacrificed everything for their ideals. Finally, in 1821, after 11 long years of struggle, Mexico achieved its independence. Leona Vicario and Andres Quintana Roo were able to return to Mexico City not as fugitives, but as celebrated heroes. The New Mexican government officially recognized Leona's immense contribution. She was granted a hacienda and a monetary reward for the fortune she had spent financing the war. But more importantly, she was given the title Benemerita y Dulcísima Madre de la Patria, the meritorious and sweetest mother of the fatherland. Spent the rest of her life in the capital, continuing to write and engage in the political and cultural life of the new nation she had helped to create. She passed away in 1842, a national hero and a symbol of female strength and patriotism. Leona Vicario's legacy is a powerful reminder that heroes come in all forms. She was a spy, a journalist, a financier, and a revolutionary who challenged the conventions of her time. She demonstrated that women were not just passive observers of history but active agents of change. Her story was so impactful that she was the only civilian woman to be given a state funeral in Mexico. Today, her name is inscribed in gold on the Wall of Honor in the Chamber of Deputies, and she remains an icon of courage, intelligence, and unwavering dedication. By remembering Leona Vicario, we honor the countless women whose contributions to our history have been overlooked. She wasn't just a helper. She was a leader, a strategist, and a true mother of Mexico. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the life of the incredible Leona Vicario. If you found her story as inspiring as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into forgotten history. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.